Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into something absolutely fundamental, how to teach the skill of thinking itself. We're going to build a blueprint for it. So let's jump right in.
This is the big question for every single educator out there. We all want students who can do more than just spit back facts. We want thinkers, right? People who can analyze, create, and solve real problems. But how? How do you actually teach someone how to think? Well, the answer might just be in a program called CORT. It was developed by Dr. Edward de Bono, and what's great about it is that it skips all the abstract philosophy. Instead, CORT gives us a set of really simple, powerful tools that are designed to make thinking a deliberate, practical skill, something anyone can get better at. So in this explainer, here's our game plan. We're going to walk through a 4-part blueprint for a CORT workshop. First, we'll lay the foundation. Then, we'll open up the toolbox and look at the course skills. After that, we'll see how to put it all into practice. And finally, we'll figure out how to measure the results. Okay, first things first. Any great workshop, just like any great lesson, needs a rock-solid plan. It's all about creating a super clear path for teachers so they don't just learn the concepts, but they can actually see exactly how they're going to use them in the classroom.
And building that foundation really comes down to 4 key steps. You've got to start by setting clear, measurable goals. Then you introduce the core thinking skills from CORT. Now, the real meat of the workshop is in the interactive activities, because thinking is a skill you do, you don't just learn about it. And finally, you have to assess that skill in a practical, meaningful way. All right, now for the fun part. It's time to open up the CORT toolbox. Now, the full program has dozens of tools, but we're going to focus on 3 of the big ones, the absolute fundamentals, that are all designed to do one crucial thing: broaden our perception. So the first and probably most foundational tool is called the PMI. It stands for plus, minus, and interesting. Let's break that down.
The whole idea behind a PMI is to consciously direct your attention. Before you decide if you love or hate an idea, you deliberately scan for the positives, then the negatives, and then, my favorite part, the points that are just interesting. It forces this little pause between a thought and a judgment. And that interesting column, that is the real engine for curiosity. It's where all the good questions live.
And the result is this massive shift from a knee-jerk emotional reaction like, ugh, that's a dumb idea, to a really thoughtful, structured evaluation. I mean, this one simple habit can totally change how a student approaches any new piece of information. It's a game changer.
Okay, the next tool in our kit is CAF, and it helps us broaden our thinking even more. The instruction couldn't be simpler. Consider all factors. At its heart, CAF is just a deliberate scan of the situation for everything that matters. It forces us to ask, okay, before we decide anything, what should we be thinking about? What are all the factors involved here? It's like a mental checklist that stops us from having narrow, short-sighted thinking. And the third tool we're going to look at today is OPV, which stands for Other People's Views. This one is all about getting outside our own heads. So, how does the shopkeeper see this problem? What about the customer or the delivery driver? OPV is a focused exercise in empathy. By deliberately putting ourselves in somebody else's shoes, we start to see the situation in a completely new light, which, as you know, is absolutely critical for things like collaboration and problem solving. So, having these tools is one thing, but how do we actually bring them to life? The key is to get away from abstract definitions and into concrete, hands-on activities that teachers can take and use directly in their own classrooms, like tomorrow. The real power of these tools is how they can be woven into any subject and adjusted for any level. So let's say you're doing a science lesson on the water cycle. An easy activity might be a simple comparison. For a medium challenge, you could use a consequences tool to explore a hypothetical. And for an advanced activity, you could challenge students to apply problem-solving skills to a real-world scenario. Okay, so we've taught the skills and we've practiced them, but is it actually working? To make sure it is, we have to shift how we assess things, moving away from just checking if they remember facts to seeing if they can actually apply these new thinking skills. And a simple rubric like this makes that path to growth crystal clear. A beginner might just be able to define the skill. A practitioner can use it with a good, relevant example. But an expert starts innovating. They start combining tools and designing their own activities. This makes progress something you can actually see and work towards. This quote from our source material really just nails it, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of this entire mission. It's a call to action.
The goal isn't to just sprinkle in a few new activities, it's to fundamentally change the culture of the classroom into a place where thinking is the main event.
Because ultimately, learning about these tools is one thing, but using them, that's everything. So as we wrap up, the real question isn't what did you learn today, but what are you going to do? Which one of these tools will you try out first? How are you going to start that transformation in your own classroom?